as with a regular bucket found in your garden. We can put stuff in Corbit's buckets as well, for later use. In Corbit, this means almost anything we need when performing actions or filter objects. That could be name of a file, file content, specific content of an XML tag in an XML file, path of a file or folder, name of a folder, database content, common SQL queries that we regular is running, times and dates, and much more. There are 3 different buckets in Corbit: bucket, workflow bucket, and system bucket. The one we will talk about today is plain and simple bucket. A bucket gets values from the object currently being handled in the scope. This could be useful getting values from one action and then use them in another. An object's bucket's lifetime starts when an object is detected in a source and started to be handled by a workflow, and ends when all the actions have been executed. A bucket can also be used as a filter. An example of this could be getting a value from inside an XML file for later use in a database call. A bucket is a macro, and it contains a name, or a key as we call it, and a value set in the bucket setting. Regarding the other 2 bucket types, a workflow bucket is similar to object bucket, but the big difference is that the workflow bucket values is remaining in the workflow as long as the workflow exists. So it's not only used for the unique object in the scope being handled. Example of this could be a counter adding the number of each file being processed. And system bucket, similar to workflow bucket, but may be used throughout the whole Corbit system. One workflow could share values with another workflow. Example: your workflow uses a server address or location. Instead of writing this in every workflow, you could create a system bucket for this. Then if the address were to be changed, you just need to change it in one place instead of all your workflows. To give you an example of how a bucket could be used in a workflow, in our company we have a sales department and an external warehouse. The sales department is using a sales system like a PIM system, and the warehouse has an older system for stock management and balance. When the sales team sets an order to paid in the PIM system, unfortunately that's not seen in the warehouse system, so the sales department constantly needs to send emails and make calls to the warehouse to inform them of the order status. Here's where Corbit could be helpful. The PIM system exports an XML file to Corbit. Corbit now reads the content of the file and save the values from some of the XML tags in buckets for later use. Next, we have another action in our workflow where we want to use those values saved in the bucket for an SQL query to change some data in the warehouse system. Now the warehouse staff knows the order is ready for shipping. In the next tutorial, we will create a workflow just like this to show you how easy it is.